Welcome to today's podcast, where we examine the current global landscape and the state of United States politics. In a rapidly evolving world, understanding the interconnectedness of global events is crucial. From war to economic challenges, nations are confronting unprecedented pressures. In the United States, political polarization significantly influences the political landscape. Donald Trump has exposed deep divisions affecting policy decisions and public discourse. We will analyze how these factors impact international relations, trade agreements, and global security. Furthermore, we will explore the role of social media in shaping political narratives and public opinion. As we delve into these dynamics, it is essential to consider the implications for democracy and civic engagement. Join us as we unpack these complex issues, offering insights and perspectives that are vital for our understanding. Thank you for tuning in to this important discussion on the intersection of global events and U.S. politics and how they shape our future. Right now, one of the most dangerous geopolitical flashpoints on Earth sits in the waters of the Persian Gulf. Tensions between the United States and Iran have been rising. Military strikes, drone attacks, and threats against regional infrastructure have pushed the situation closer to a wider conflict. At the center of it all is a narrow stretch of water called the Strait of Hormuz. It may not look impressive on a map. At its narrowest point, the strait is only about 21 miles wide. But what passes through those waters helps power the entire world. Nearly 20% of the planet's oil supply travels through the Strait of Hormuz every single day. That makes it one of the most important energy choke points on Earth. And right now, it's under pressure. Iran has warned it could disrupt shipping in the region. There have been reports of attacks on vessels and growing fears that naval mines or military patrols could make the passage even more dangerous. In response, the United States and its allies have increased their military presence in the Gulf, aiming to keep the waterway open and protect international shipping. Because if traffic through the Strait of Hormuz slows down, the consequences ripple far beyond the Middle East. Oil prices can spike, global shipping routes can shift, and economies thousands of miles away can feel the impact. All from a single narrow passage of water. For now, the situation remains volatile. Diplomacy continues behind the scenes, but tensions remain high. And history has shown, when conflict threatens the Strait of Hormuz, the entire world is watching. But the Strait of Hormuz is only part of the story. Behind the tension in those narrow waters is a much larger war. Israel is deeply involved in the conflict with Iran. In late February, Israeli and U.S. forces launched major strikes against Iranian military targets, including missile bases, air defenses, and key infrastructure. Iran responded quickly, firing drones and missiles toward Israeli territory and across the wider Middle East. What began as a regional confrontation is now spreading across multiple fronts. Iran-backed groups in places like Lebanon and Syria have also entered the fight, raising fears that the conflict could expand even further across the region. And while missiles and airstrikes dominate the headlines, another battle is unfolding quietly in the background: the battle over energy. Because the Middle East produces a massive share of the world's oil, and when war threatens that supply, global markets react almost instantly. Oil prices have already surged past $100 per barrel, with analysts warning they could climb even higher if the fighting continues, or if the Strait of Hormuz remains disrupted. That kind of spike doesn't just affect energy companies, it affects everyone. Higher oil prices mean more expensive gasoline, more expensive shipping, and higher costs for nearly every product that moves across the global economy. Airline tickets rise, food transportation becomes more expensive, and businesses around the world begin raising prices just to keep up with fuel costs. In other words, a war thousands of miles away can quickly show up in places people feel every day: at the gas pump, at the grocery store, and across the global economy. which is why, as the conflict between Israel, the United States, and Iran continues to unfold, the stakes reach far beyond the battlefield. And those rising energy costs don't just affect households and transportation. They're also colliding with another powerful force shaping the modern economy: the rapid expansion of data centers. Across the United States and around the world, massive server facilities are being built to power cloud computing, artificial intelligence, and the digital services billions of people use every day. These buildings rarely make headlines, but inside them, thousands of powerful computers run day and night. And all of that computing power requires enormous amounts of electricity. A single large data center can consume as much energy as a small city. Multiply that by hundreds of facilities, and the demand grows quickly. Supporters say these data centers are essential. They power online businesses, streaming platforms, financial systems, and the artificial intelligence tools that are rapidly becoming part of daily life. In many ways, they are the backbone of the modern digital economy. But critics argue that this rapid expansion comes with serious consequences. Communities across the country have raised concerns about power consumption, rising electricity demand, and the strain placed on local energy grids. And when global events, like conflict in the Middle East, push fuel prices higher, those pressures can intensify. Utilities may need to build new power plants, energy prices can rise, and debates begin over who should shoulder the cost: homeowners, businesses, or the tech companies building these massive facilities. In some regions, local leaders welcome data centers for the jobs and tax revenue they bring. In others, residents worry about long-term energy demands and the environmental impact of powering so many machines. Because the truth is, the digital world may feel invisible, but the electricity required to run it is anything but. And as global energy markets grow more volatile, the conversation about how we power the internet and the rapidly growing world of artificial intelligence is only just beginning. So, as the world watches tensions in the Middle East, rising energy prices, and the growing demands of our digital future, one thing becomes clear: events that begin in one corner of the world rarely stay there. From the narrow waters of the Strait of Hormuz to the power grids that support our rapidly expanding digital infrastructure, the connections between geopolitics, energy, and technology are becoming impossible to ignore. These forces are shaping economies, influencing policy, and quietly affecting daily life for millions of people. And the story is still unfolding. Thank you for listening. I'm Laura Ellis, and this has been today's episode. Be sure to join us next time as we continue exploring the global events, technologies, and decisions shaping the world around us. Until then, stay informed, stay curious, and we'll see you on the next episode.